Hello, everyone. This is Gosia Lorenz and my lovely, amazing friend, Trena.Anderson from
Hello.
California. And Trena is in Canada, Edmonton. So we are covering a whole big continent in our conscious conversations. So we've been talking for a while and talking and chatting and having these brilliant awarenesses and moments of ahas and enlightenment. And we thought, why don't we just record it? And maybe it's going to be a contribution to someone who will choose to watch it at some point. So, hey, you want to say something?
Hello. Been looking forward to this part. I don't know why, but it's fun.
It's going to be fun. So, we were talking about changes on the planet and what is required of us, beautiful beings of hopefully a lot of light and joy and love, to remember who we are.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's huge. So, what do you know about remembering and about divine remembrance? How do we step into that? How do we start claiming it and owning it and acknowledging it and being it?
And I realize as you're asking the question, how many people were already tapped into. And so that, I guess, because there aren't any words many times to describe that energetic awareness.
Right, right. So we're touching energetically so many lives, so many beings right now. And we're talking before about working with different techniques and different modalities from the past and how some of them might not be appropriate anymore. And for the future, or some elements of it not being up the speed with the frequencies that we are stepping into. And the earth, our lovely Gaia earth, Mama, is stepping into and accelerating into.
That's huge. It is. Go ahead. Lead the way, Gosia.
All right. All right. So, talking about the remembrance and divine remembrance, we came here with all kinds of different instructions, built-in instructions. Like we do have the manual. I always, when I had kids, I always said, like, I wish those kids came with manuals so I know how to use them, how to handle those little beings. But now I realize we do have those instructions inside. We just have to know how to read them and tap into them. And they're awakening. So I think we're ready for everything that's coming, ready for everything that has been. We just maybe didn't trust because the times weren't conducive of us trusting and knowing who we are. Like, how do you feel when you were growing up or later years? Were you really trusting yourself who you are? Did you know? Did you suspect? Did you hope, think like that you were maybe more than just the flesh?
I love your question. That trust factor and recognizing that basically, along with those instructions, you're exactly where we're supposed to be. And so much of that remembrance, it is something that we don't actually acknowledge. You speak to it from the form of raising kids, and it's like growing up on a farm. It's interesting all the different dynamics that we're connected to, and that we have those internal knowings, and how it's all related and connected. And we have those instructions. So that trust that you just touched upon, it's huge.
Yeah. So how many of you guys watching trust that trust that you have all these talents and abilities, and maybe they have been dormant your whole life, or maybe you saw glimpses of it, or maybe you hoped you have something. And would you be willing to really start looking for them and claiming them and opening up to them and owning them? And that I'm not good enough, I'm not sure. That's like so 90s, like all this low self-esteem. I'm sorry if you feeling a lot of it still, but remember, this is like last century, okay? We need to step into knowing and remembering and having that confidence that you're good, you know, and you will know what to do. You just have to trust yourself. This is like as simple as it gets, yet it proves to be challenging in real life and real world. But whoever I work with, this is the most important thing. Just trust that you know, trust your feelings, your sensations, trust what you're getting, not necessarily trust the thoughts in your head, because then they might not be yours. So trust that you have the awareness to distinguish between things that are true for you and things that are just either someone else's projections or some training that you got from the culture or family, or something that came maybe from the earth grid, or something that you learned in school that's not necessarily your truth. So like finding that balance between who you are and what is the outside world is very, very important. And I think it's super confusing for many people to actually know that. How are you doing with that?
Yes, actually, as you were talking, there's so many different areas a person can go there. Um, when you're okay, so I'll speak from myself as a child, being energetically aware of things that no one else could speak to. And so they didn't make sense. You receive a lot of judgment, a lot of ridicule, and then you begin to believe it. So you lose your own currency that flows through. And as you grow older, you get to a place where it's kind of like, screw it. Because you have to. You have to. That's that unwinding, unfolding of all the energies around us that we're aware of. But yet that's not something that's ever, I always say, it's never even taught in school. Being aware of the energies in your environment, or the projections, or the thoughts, feelings, and emotions from everyone around you that you begin to think are yours. So we've kind of jumping back to the old tools. There's lots of old tools, but there are such faster ways now. And it is tuning. It's that in tune part of ourselves. So yes, Gosia, and you know that you've sparked that in so many ways, even for myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, you're talking about energies. Do you guys realize how aware you were of everything? Like maybe there's some earthquake forming somewhere in South America and you're on the other side of the world and you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling nervous, or you can't sleep. And it's like, oh, I probably drank too much coffee. We always go to like, I did something wrong. I must have done something wrong. But when I started paying attention to those things, like my bodily reactions to things and asking questions, I work through asking questions. Is this this? Is this this? And then I get yes or no in different ways. So I started being aware of like, we are global citizens. We live on this planet, but we're also oneness with this planet. We're part of the nature. And we're really aware if like some animal is suffering, maybe some far away, and we somehow pick that signal, that frequency, we might actually feel awful that day. So, there was so much now and depression and people feeling lost and don't know who they are, and the identity crisis, because we are bombarded constantly with so much information and weeding through this information, and kind of it's like you're surrounded by all these threads, and like finding one thread that you can go and go and go and find where it is. It's kind of difficult. So just maybe that would keep us busy night and day, trying to disentangle all of that. But just knowing that you might be aware of something really far away, something random, and you're just aware. So it's not like there's something wrong with you, like you were sad or depressed and you were just happy and fine 10 minutes ago, that there's something wrong with you or your hormones are raging. It might be 10 different things. So just having clarity that, okay, I'm aware, maybe I'm reacting to something, maybe I'm getting some signals, maybe I'm getting some information. For me, that's kind of like I relax into it. Okay, I might not know now, I might know later or never. But just know you kind of this huge sphere of awareness, not just your little self, like you maybe think about yourself.
Well, and there again, you touched on so many different pieces of that. We're an aware being, and our bodies are this huge satellite that picks up a lot of the work that I've been and growing up on the farm with the animals. They have those same responses. They're natural responses, and yet we as people don't acknowledge them. We like when you're talking about tsunami or earthquakes, that's one of the first things animals respond to. It's like, get out, move away.
Yes.
And yet we ignore those signals because it's just layers upon layers of, oh no, I'm crazy, or it's right.
Yeah. Yeah. How
Try
often do
and
you,
make we try and make sense of it, and you can't make sense of it.
no.
You just receive it and
Yeah.
ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I started asking because, like, how often do we go, like, I'm crazy, or I'm like imagining things, or like I'm like losing my mind, into like, okay, am I aware of something? Yes. Is it related to, I ask, like, is it a collective? Yes or no? Is it something with the earth? When I get a yes, like, what can I do about this information? Do I just relax into it? Can I contribute to it? Is there something I need to do? Even though we're much better with being than doing when it comes to energetics, can I just be with this energy? But sometimes I feel I can actually contribute. I can actually maybe receive. I was recently in Florida and I went into the ocean. And first thing I did, I introduced myself. And and I said who I am. And I said, Ocean, if there's anything I have in my body that you could use or that would contribute to you, any information, any stored information in a library I have access to. I'm connected to many different libraries of the planet, on the planet, in my body. And I said, anything that you could use, I'm offering it to you if it's going to be a contribution to you. Oh my gosh, the energy that went, I was shaking. I literally, first of all, I was heard, which was crazy in itself. Like, I'm again on vacation in the water, and like the ocean actually hears me, and I'm actually not crazy because I had a very strong reaction. And then when I said, yeah, I'm offering to you whatever that is, I just went, it was taking, it was using, it was, the energy was blending, and it was incredible. And I've been doing it for a very long time. And I learned it from teaching classes. When I tried to create a class in a place where there was a lot of like native energies and earth spirits, if I just wanted to go there and show up and do a class, it never worked. So very early on, I learned to connect with the land, connect with the native spirits, connect with the earth spirits, introduce myself, say what I'm doing, say, I'm here to work with you guys, to teach people about you so they can actually start working with you. And why don't you open up to us? We are your allies with the bodies. And I know I'm white because they always called me white face on the natives. I know I'm a white face, but maybe you need someone like me on the ground, helping you, because you maybe haven't been successful in some of your endeavors. And it always worked. It was the most amazing, magical thing that happened all over the world. Like whether I was in the jungle of Amazonian jungle of Brazil, or in Arizona, or in Canada. Canada was like off the chart. Always the natives were like working with me. So like, what if you started acknowledging that you are really part of the whole, and like, you're not a unit, you are a unit of consciousness, but you also unit part of a whole, and we all work together.
I love, here again, all those things. The introduction, you're introducing, you're navigating, you're inviting. It's that mutual gifting and receiving, which is basically unheard of in a lot of ways of transacting. Everything's a transaction. And I think it's like when you speak, for me, speaking with nature and animals is all that flow. And I know there's people out there that get this, and I desire, like, it's opening that flow, because it's happening. That's why everyone is like, it's like time to let go of that old way.
Yes, thank you. Time to let go of that old way and ways. So we wanted to, chat, but also maybe give you some awarenesses and tools and clearing of something that might be lingering. So would you be willing, whoever is watching, to tap into things that maybe are stifling you, some old structures that you still the effect of, some old belief systems that might be lingering from another lifetime or your family or something that you kind of believe, but maybe you should be moving on from that. And anything that it's not aligned with the new earth, with the new paradigm, with times that are coming. And they might not be the most comfortable times. We know that. But we need to be ready and we need to remember who we are. So those old structures, I call them like bungee jumps holding us. You want to go forward, but they will always pull you back. So, like, would you be willing to release all those, to drop them, to know that this is unnecessary, very, very, very heavy and stinky baggage that you've been trying to go into forward with on your back and dragging behind you, that you will be free and liberated and way more sovereign without all this? So, would you be willing to just let go of all that, or as much as you can, without any healing crisis or any big, upset? Yeah. And you see, things are shifting, changing, dropping, moving, boom. This is how fast energy works. And I hope you felt it. Did you feel it?
And Gosia, will you also speak to the having of that space, that your body's awareness in with that intention?
So what if you're, yeah. Ooh, that my body does weird energetic movements, and whoever knows me knows me, you know. But if you don't know me, my body gives me a lot of information, but also does things that I had to figure out what it does. So one of the things I call weaving, it literally weaves different fields, energetic fields. So when I start doing this, it's weaving a different field of being, of existence, with way higher vibrations. Or when we clear something, something comes out. I start doing it when I work with someone, and I realized it's like literally weaving a new space. And also it's like a vortex pulling out things that are still lingering in there or left behind. So if you have this kind of intentional living and you have all these instructions, you connected to the source. I call it the source, great seed. I made it up. I like to call it a great seed as well, because we all came from the great seed. We grew in different forms and shapes. If you're connected to the earth, if you are this amazing pillar of light, and you know that you are prepared, that you came for those times, that you have all the instructions, that you will know what to do in a moment. You can't really plan for anything because nobody really knows what's going to happen. There's speculations. There's so many speculations out there, and some might be correct, some might not, but we don't actually really know what we up against and what's going to happen. And it's still being created because our collective consciousness is creating. We are in different timeline, but how is it going to unfold? It's being created as we speak, on the go. So like, we really have to let go of that attachment to the control, because people do control a lot. They want to control the circumstances and want to secure the finances, want to secure this and that, but it might not, happen how you think it's going to happen. And fear, definitely forget about it. So if you have this intentional living, that you will know that your every step is sacred, that your every action is sacred and aligned with the highest frequencies available and possible. Imagine the impact you're going to have on everyone around you, right? And you're part of the whole, you one with those trees around you. Like I was driving, and my friend was like, "Why are you driving this way?" I was like, "Because there's more trees this way." And I talk to them every time I drive by, and they're my friends, and I like tap into them, and they love when I drive there. Like I literally live always, even if I'm in a city, I always pay attention to the trees, to the nature. I say hello, like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Like, do you need anything from me?" Like this is the way I live, and I invite you all to be more of this intentional oneness, intentional peace, intentional consciousness that you already are. So life becomes more open, beautiful, flowy, joyful, when you also, like, I feel responsible for those things. Like I feel responsible for my state of mind and being and mood, but also for like the beings and creatures around me. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Do you feel like that?
100%. What I hear a lot of is taking personal responsibility for what we're being. And so when you're willing to have that joy and that interaction with the smallest, tiniest things that we've never truly acknowledged, watch what changes in terms of and reorganizes in your field, and the people that begin to hear that and come forth. And then it's that interaction again. Like to me, that having is like, I don't know what it looks like. And so in this 10 seconds, here's all I know. That feeling of what it can be. And so from that purity source, as you speak to weaving in new energies, we begin to create that. And it looks different, and but it is, it to me, I so love our conversations because it is that past and the future. And we're a part of all of it. And yet we don't acknowledge that choice today here spreads forward, even though time is like, I want to say time space optimization, it comes together. It is a natural flow. It's nature. We are it.
We are it. And it's so sad. This is so beautiful what you said. And I just thought of how unkind we've been to the planet, and all this talk about global warming. And now, of course, now on the news, it's only tragic and horrible news. And on one hand, I know they want to be alarming, so we do something about it, but it's also creating it more and more and more, because everybody thinks we're going to have living hell here, and it's going to be just hot, 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 and we're all going to burn and cook to death. But it's, we have to make conscious choices on our personal level that will change it, and acknowledge that the earth is going through the changes. But I think we did contribute a lot, but it's not probably what they say it is. I don't believe it's, the car you're driving.
Very true. So let's tap in just for a sec into evolution. Okay. So truth, has the earth not evolutionized and grown with us? So as you were saying, in terms of when we have a child and we think we don't know what we're doing, and yet it's a magical interaction throughout that space. That, I don't want to say you can't do it wrong, because that's not true. You can create hardship. And if you're coming from the purest of intention and willing to interact and grow, you actually can't screw it up.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And you touched upon that, that responsibility and trust, knowing that you can't screw it up, and also saying no to things that, or some kind of outside influences, they're not coming from pure and good place. Because there are, and I know nobody wants to hear about it, especially if you're like, oh, it's all love and light. Well, there are some influences that are here to destroy, take, rape, exploit. And they have been here. We just maybe see them more, but they've been here and they are encroaching in our space more and more and more now through the, phone in our hand with like constant propaganda on the news. And we know what's been going on for the last few years. And we just have to be aware. It's not about being scared, but to be aware and to know when to say no to that, to make smarter choices, not to be glued to your phone and believe all this, apocalyptic, visions that we're being fed to. But like, what can I create? Do I want to be like baked alive? Or maybe I can create a different reality. And we are so freaking powerful. We are so very, very powerful that if we get together, we can create a completely different reality. But if the fear is present and like this looming doom and gloom, it's really hard to create light and bright if you just like so scared that you're going to die soon and everything is going to hell. So it's like remembering our creative capacities. We are creator beings. We are capable of moving heavy objects with our minds. We are capable of changing the shapes of stones, of something very solid with our very thought. We're not doing it, but we used to. There has been many, many civilizations where that was general common practice. And those civilizations are long forgotten because our Earth did change poles and maybe had a flood here and there. And all this evidence is buried very deep under the ocean floor. But we had incredible civilizations that were using the power of the mind, where we're using maybe in collaboration with our cosmic brothers and sisters, but we are that too. Like we're using all this capacity. So what if we're like way, way, way more magical and capable than we ever suspected? And, if you didn't learn about it in school, so what? It doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, and that's exactly it. Would it have been, and these are the parts and pieces in conversations. If would anybody have wanted us to have our power? That's why it's not in the schools. That's why it's not talked about. That's why you're judged crazy or woo-woo. And yet it's like, okay, that's old. It's just time for something different. And that energy to me is where when you start to feed those sources, it naturally grows. And that's where, like you say, now the things that have been kept secret or hidden away rise to the surface. It is like an ocean. It regurgitates what needs to be changed. And so along the way, what can we be and do? And not do from the necessary fight.
Yeah.
Where can we come together? Where can we have the conversations? And, invite those in a position to do. How about we start to utilize our connections? Right. Invite the conversations, because the bottom line, we are exactly where we need to be.
Right.
And it's interesting. It's like, because there's a lot of talk in terms of infiltration, and it's like, well, what if it's just time to open up different conversations and the possibility or the purity of intention? It's our time. No more having to be quiet. Call bullshit out where it's at and invite and inspire other people to do the same. And sometimes that doesn't sound the way it's been taught to us.
No, we were taught to be submissive, to obey, to listen. And the controllers, for lack of a better word, did use it for centuries to intimidate us. And I always say it's easier to control and rule over people that are scared, that are sick, and that are poor than people that are empowered, wealthy, or living in abundance, and healthy, vibrant. So look at the system. The whole system is basically making us, being sick by 50 or 60. Or maybe they extend your life, but the quality of life is not better. You live longer, but you little broken shell very often because of all the pharmaceuticals and things that are being sold as life-saving, things. Our crops are being poisoned, earth is being poisoned, water is not great. And I believe we can transmute all of it if we become aware of what is. We really have the capacity, but it comes from this first no to what's being done and what's being done to us, and knowing that we have a voice. And like how often I heard, oh no, it's just me. I'm not going to make a difference if I pick up this, piece of trash. Yes, you will. Yes, you will, because you will do it one day, and maybe 3 other people will do it the other way. You're creating that 100 monkey effect.
A huge example of that, Gosia, is you take a look at the truckers with COVID. Okay. And they just took a stand. It wasn't against or for any, it was enough. This stops. It has to, and look at the momentum that created.
Yeah.
It brought people together and to know they're not alone. Oh, you mean you actually? Oh, I didn't know that. You actually felt the same way. Here we've been buried up and we keep ourselves private or shut off because we're following government instructions. And I don't like I want to be careful so we don't open up a whole big, but we're human beings that desire connection and acknowledgement and thriving space. Look what one can create.
Yeah. I was thinking about that because I cried every time I saw anything from that times, because I could feel that unity and that strong inner roar of enough. That's enough. It's a no. And doing what they felt it was right, whether it was successful or not. But people governments, I think, forget that they are here for us, not we are there for them. Like, I don't know where they didn't remember that little detail. So like people have to take a stance and stand and say no, like, I do not agree, I do not comply, I will not comply with this, because this is taking away my human rights. And fear plays such a big role in that whole equation. When you're scared out of your mind, you really are not able to think straight. And that was, we saw what happened. People were so scared they could not think. They still, some of them don't, but many are now so much more aware. There's so many awakened people on the planet now. We already reached the tipping point. There's more people that are awake and know and see and perceive and understand than not. So we are going in a very, very powerful right direction.
Well, and here again, to me, it's the conversations, the way and the frequency in terms of what those conversations are made up and how that changes. Because if we can't work together one-on-one, how do we organize a world that thrives? We actually have to deal with our own shit first.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. And then maybe like put aside some difference, because we're always going to be different. But it's, like, right, like that division. I think that political division and all these things that divide people were intentional too, because as long as we are divided, we are weak. Divide and conquer, old concept, right? So like people can get together, whether they are different faith or believe, different political fractions, like it doesn't matter. It's if your vision and your intention is to create a world where we are in communion, cooperating, co-creating, we in unity, all these things will start falling apart, because this is all very artificial interferences and injections and hijacks that are controlling us. But if we like all this will start falling off, we will remember.
Much of it is artificial intelligence. That is one of the keys. So kind of going back to the nature, it's not our technologies are not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But when we are surrounded in those environments and we do not recognize the impacts that the electrical charges have on our body, it's like just balance it out. Go outside for a walk. Spend some time with a tree or a dog or like we have to balance ourselves
Yeah.
and then begin to ask more questions. And your body, when it's in balance, communicates very, very loudly.
Right.
It's kind of like as you and I were chatting in terms of the Immunical product. Our bodies can evolve, and sometimes there's an outside addition that you can add to support it, and sometimes it's internal. There's not one right or wrong way to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I was thinking maybe we should wrap up soon, so it's not too long and nobody will get scared at the length of the video. But how about we do a little clearing out of those interferences and infiltrations that might be preventing whoever is watching from having that clarity? Okay, just a couple of minutes of.
Okay. And when you've done the clearing out, I would just like to leave with some questions on inviting the space of once that's gone, where now? What
Now?
else is possible?
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Wow, thank you, Trina. Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. Okay, see, like it's already starting. So take a deep breath in and just relax. Just relax your body and tap into your being. Just trust that you feel, that you know, that you're in touch with of who you truly are. It's beautiful, radiant, magnificent being of light. You're actually pure light, embodied. Feel that light, perceive that light, see that light, see it radiating through your physical body, radiating out, pushing out anything and everything that doesn't belong to you. Any kind of infiltrations, AI interferences, technology that doesn't belong in your body at all. Let's uninstall, disconnect, dissipate, release, undo, pull out, extract anything that doesn't allow you to be you, anything that doesn't belong in your body. Anything that has been talking in your head that's not you, say no to it, push it out. You're a sovereign being of light, and none of this belongs to you and has control over you. Feel your power, feel your potency, feel your sovereignty, feel the freedom of your being. Connect with the earth. Shoot a beam of light coming from your heart deep into the earth. Root yourself. Be like a beautiful tree with roots deep, deep, deep into the crystalline grid of the earth. And now shoot another beam, on the same beam, from your heart upwards to the space of light, to the source energy, to the seed energy that's light and bright, nurturing, loving. It's actually you. That's the crown of a tree. Just be a beautiful tree. Know that you know. Remember that you remember. Claim, own, and acknowledge that remembrance, your beauty, your magnificence, your creatorship. You are a creator of your life of your reality and of the future world that already is now. Remember that. You know and you can. All the fears, emotions of lack, regret, anything that's pulling you down, it's literally dissipating, releasing, and disappearing in a space of the beautiful light that you are. Okay, bask in your own beauty and glory and grace. Woo, how does it feel?
That's yummy. That's so yummy. The remembering, tapping in, clearing. Now, I'm just going to ask, what if those two are all one? That future is here. That's the unfamiliar for us. Because what would it be like with it flowing, thriving? It's here. We just don't acknowledge it. It's here.
We are
So
the ambassadors. We are the ambassadors of this future that already is, that we are creating in a physical and material reality.
Yes. So connect to that and have it for yourself. And for the longest time, I would play in my world in that. Because be careful who you share that with. Because you have to be strong to maintain you first. Because that light, not everyone is ready for that light or that possibility. So honor yourself. Give yourself that space of knowing it's here, it's now. And surround yourself with others that get that they hear you.
Thank you. This was so beautiful. I literally, every molecule of my body was hearing it and seeing it. That unity and getting together with others and creating without the differences and like negative differences and division, more like, okay, what can we do together here? What space of knowing can we all be to create in a physicality? Because all is created already energetically, and now we're bringing it into physical existence. So all this dark, lame, pathetic attempts of stopping us are not going to work. They're so pathetic. I'm just like, guys, you're so pathetic. Go somewhere else. I'll just like dissipate from this world. Thank you so much, Trena. This was beautiful. I hope you guys, I'm so relaxed and blissed out. I don't know what happened, but something happened. You guys feel that and you made it to the end, and I am so grateful, and I think we're going to do it again. What do you say? Yes, we're going to do it again.
Too much fun not to.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we just like created something beautiful. Thank you, Trena. Thank you, everyone. Wow. Thank you.